What does it really mean if my wife never wants intimacy? Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach and founder of SecureHusband.com, where I help good men get unstuck in their lives and their relationships. I just got off of a call with one of my guys, and so he's mid-40s, been married for 10, 15 years or so, hasn't had sex in 3 years. She never touches him, not a hug, not a kiss, maybe a goodbye kiss before he leaves, but nothing passionate. Nothing. He just kept saying over and over, nothing. He was saying, what does this mean? Now that question right there is one where we struggle with as men. What does it mean? What does it really mean if my wife never wants intimacy? If you're a husband who lies in bed right there next to the woman that you marry, the woman you love, and you feel like a stranger, if you've ever asked that question, what does it really mean? Most men don't know how to talk about this. You feel guilty for wanting sex because you've been told it makes you shallow, makes you just a horny man. You feel ashamed for not getting it because you've been told you're supposed to be strong, desirable, and in control. And now you're confused. She says she loves you, but she doesn't want you. You feel angry. You feel resentful. You didn't sign up for a roommate. Underneath all of this, you feel unwanted. You feel like you're not enough, like you're failing. You don't even know how to fix it, and you can't fix it. And that's where my client was today. And this is where a lot of guys are. What's really going on is the lie that we believe that it's all me. And as part of the Secure Husband process, I want you to notice, and I want you to notice if you're telling that story to yourself, this is all me. I'm putting all of it on my shoulders. The guys that I talk to have very similar stories. My guy today, she's always tired. She's not in the mood. She doesn't feel sexy. She says it's not about me. But he's saying to himself, how can it not be about me? I'm the one she doesn't want. And that right there, that's the lie, the false story, the false narrative husbands believe. If she doesn't want intimacy, it must be something I'm doing wrong. Now, sure, there's always things to grow, and we'll get to that. And there's always behaviors that destroy emotional trust and safety. We have to clean up on our side of the street. But the truth is, intimacy issues in marriage almost never come down to just one person. I've talked about this over and over in earlier podcasts. You never just have one wounded partner in a dysfunctional pattern. You always have two. Most of the guys that I work with, the absence of intimacy, it's a symptom and not the root. It's not the cause. It's a symptom of years of disconnection, of resentment, of unspoken hurts, personal trauma, unhealed wounds. Yeah, sometimes we have physical and hormonal issues come into play, but we'll never get to what it really means until you first stop making it all about your worth. So you can start this process by noticing. Guys will feel like, okay, I'm the problem. I'll just be more accommodating. I'll be the good guy. I'll be polite. Always help around the house. Work hard at my job. Pick up the kids. Never pressure my wife. Because I've heard, Bruce, you've said pressure will be a turnoff. And it is. But you're dying inside. You're so lonely. Now, while you're doing everything right, you're completely abandoning yourself. So, like in my guy's case here, he never spoke up about what he needed. He never asked those hard questions. He just walks on eggshells. Don't upset her. All of it is fear. Fear that if he's honest, she's going to reject him completely. That little slim glimmer of hope that keeps that marriage alive, that would be completely wiped out. So he played small. He hoped. He waited. And our session that we just completed here, he was telling me that he had a pivotal moment. So like he and his wife, they were sitting on the couch or watching TV. She got up to go to bed. She didn't say goodnight, no kiss, no touch, no eye contact, no nothing. And he told me that he just sat there in the dark and he was just saying, I don't know how much longer I can do this. He told me he felt like this was his rock bottom. I was telling him, actually, this is your turning point. This is where you notice and you choose. You choose to take loving action. Now, what that is, will come later down the healing journey. The first step is he had to notice it. He had to tune into that pain. Most of us are going to avoid it. We're going to bury it. We're going to numb it with distractions, whether that's food, alcohol, porn, overworking, fantasy. But you have to feel it. Just feel that raw ache of the rejection, that grief of being unwanted, that fear of not being enough. Turn toward it. Lean into it. Name it. This is not to wallow in it, but to stop running from it, to be able to turn and face it head on. That's your first step to healing. You can't fix what you don't feel. And then we talked about that inner boy inside. Who inside of you is feeling this way? Because it's not your grown-up self, but it's that little boy inside, that little guy who just wanted to be seen, held, chosen. For him, when he was younger, he would bring that approach to life into his marriage, into work, into friendships. He never really felt like the man. And that part of him, that little boy, was still living inside, still trying to earn love. And every time his wife rejected intimacy, it poked that same wound. Not getting critical about it. It's just being aware. It's just bringing an intent to learn to the situation. When you can stop blaming yourself, you can stop resenting her, and you get curious. Okay, what part of me feels unsafe in this relationship? What do I fear most about being honest, being authentic, telling my truth? What am I trying to control with people pleasing or staying silent? You start to realize you're not just afraid of rejection. You're afraid of confrontation, of being too much, of rocking the boat. You probably learned that somewhere along your life, long before you met your wife, that confrontation was painful and you became fearful of it. And that fear makes you perform for love instead of showing up with authenticity. It's not being fake, you're just trying to survive. Survival isn't connection, it's just coping. So you have to connect to that loving part of you, that little boy inside. You find that part of you that wasn't wounded, that part that was strong and grounded, loving and clear. That's your true self. Some people call it your adult self, your higher self. It's that part of you that can honor your need for intimacy without making it her job to fix it. You can speak truth in love, even if it's uncomfortable. You can stay connected to yourself, even when you feel disconnected from her. So you have that dialogue with your inner boy inside, and you give him love and compassion. Visualize him. We do visualization exercises as homework, where I have my clients sit down, think about a moment when you were a child that you really needed somebody to care for you, to be there for you. Just picture that. And then start to dialogue with him. Have a conversation. Give him love and compassion. And you tell him, I've got you. You're not alone. We don't have to beg for love anymore. When you can keep having that conversation with that inner boy inside of you, that's your subconscious, that's your feelings, that's your true core feelings right there. When you can have that conversation over and over, that you don't have to beg for love anymore, powerful things happen in your life. And then you dialogue with a higher power, your spiritual guidance, whatever your belief system is, through prayer, through meditation, through journaling or introspection. You talk to that higher power and you understand what it means to be loved unconditionally, to be loved without having to earn it, and to be loved and not be perfect, that there's nothing you can do that would cause your divine guidance, your higher power. God will never pull his love from you, and there's nothing you can do to earn it. All you have to do is open your heart, and it's there, 24/7. The universe, spirit, God, whatever that is for you, you just open your heart and you take it in. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anyone. You get that unconditional love, that sense of inherent worth, and you get truth. Am I worthy? And your higher power, through the dialogue, will tell you, yes, you're worthy. So you start working this all together. You dialogue with your inner child, your higher power. You start having this conversation. Healing begins here. And then you get clarity. You get clarity of what your next action is, your next loving action. Your higher power guidance will tell you what that loving action is. And sometimes it's going to be one of the toughest conversations that you will ever have. Maybe you have to sit down with your wife, not to accuse, not to guilt, not to beg, but to share your truth. It may be something like, babe, I've realized I've been walking on eggshells for years. I've been trying to be perfect so you'd want me again. And I've been scared to tell you how deeply this hurts. But I can't keep abandoning myself. I need emotional and physical connection in my life. I'm not blaming you. I'm just telling you I have to be honest about what's real for me. That's raw. That's scary. That's being vulnerable. But that may be the first real conversation that you have had in a long time. Now, your wife will react how she's going to react. She may listen. She may cry. She may get upset. She may leave. I know in my case, when I had a similar conversation like this with my wife, her response was, I thought you were 1 foot out the door. I thought you just stopped trying because you didn't care anymore. Now, I understand that there are guys that are listening to this that are saying, that is the complete opposite of my story. Yeah, it may be. But it's those years of silence and resentment that create a story for both of you. But the point here is you take loving, aligned action and you repeat it with compassion, self-compassion, and compassion for others, compassion for your partner. You bring empathy in here because she has her own wounds and her own defenses. You come at that with empathy. It doesn't mean you're abandoning yourself. In fact, it's just the opposite. When you can be there for you and still be there for her, that's strength. That's not weakness. Will there still be triggers? Possibly. Old patterns that creep in? Sometimes, yeah. Still some lonely, hard nights? Absolutely. But now you've got a new tool set. You're not lost in confusion anymore. You know what is yours to own and what is not. And you begin meeting your own needs. Express your truth without shame. Over time, something beautiful will happen. And it could be one of two things. Your wife may slowly begin softening, not just physically, but emotionally. Maybe she starts initiating little touches, laughing again, sharing more. I see this happen more often than not. And sometimes that beautiful thing that happens is the end of a relationship where she has no desire to meet you halfway. Both of those very challenging situations to go through, both of those can lead to peace and joy again, depending on your circumstances. Your sex life isn't going to magically become like every day, like when you guys were in your dating period. But intimacy can return. Most importantly, you return to yourself. You live in integrity. You live in truth. You live in authenticity. You're grounded, clear. When that happens, that's where change takes place. It takes action. And to get there, you have to overcome the fear. And the outcome will be what the outcome is. What if nothing changes? You still win. Because remember, the process isn't about getting your wife to do something. It's about becoming the man you were always meant to be, no matter what. When you become the man that you were always meant to be, you stop abandoning yourself. You stop chasing approval. You stop defining your worth by her desire. You become free. And sometimes that freedom, again, it rekindles the spark. Most of the time it does. Even if it doesn't, you're no longer waiting for someone else to choose you because you've already chosen yourself. I know sometimes it sounds negative, but it's truth. So if you are asking yourself, what does it really mean if my wife never wants intimacy? It just means there's a wound somewhere. In her, in you. It's in both of you. Doesn't mean you're broken. Doesn't mean you're not a man. Doesn't mean you have to keep living in silent resentment and pain and loneliness. You can do this differently. You can become secure. Even if your marriage stays stuck, you can speak with truth and love and authenticity, with courage, not control. You lead with strength. You overcome the fear. Build a life of connection, starting with connecting to yourself, because you've been disconnected to yourself. And when you do, you become the kind of man who isn't afraid of the situation anymore. He's not afraid of the truth, embraces the truth, and leads right through there. I hope this podcast was helpful for you. Will you give me a review and subscribe if you're not already for more Secure Husband episodes? If you need help getting unstuck, that accountability, visit securehusband.com and set up a free 30-minute consultation with me. Just a conversation, no pressure. I'll see you again on the next Secure Husband podcast. Thanks for listening.